Let's read this first story from the Buffalo News. Authorities investigating if retired federal agent knew of Buffalo mass shooting plans in advance. They're actually wondering if this dude should be charged as an accomplice. What they're basically saying is that in this I think it was in the Discord, that I'm spelling it wrong. Here we go. The perpetrator shared the information with 6 individuals, one of which was a retired federal agent. They say agents from the FBI are in the process of tracking down and interviewing the 6 people, including the retired agent, and attempting to determine if any of them should be charged as accomplices, the 2 sources with close knowledge of the probe told the Buffalo News. The 2 sources did not identify the agent by name and could not confirm what agency he worked for. I just got to start off by saying sometimes there are racist former federal agents. Sometimes people who are criminals work for different departments, or maybe this guy was in a Discord and did not see any of this information, and that's why he didn't report it. We don't know. But the reason I want to lead with this is because there's a lot of questions around all of these. It's becoming particularly prominent to see on Twitter and other platforms where people are questioning how these things can actually happen. Like, how is it, with Uvalde, a guy 2 days after his 18th birthday gets one of the best, most expensive rifles possible? What was his training? How could he have afforded it? He was being made fun of for being, poor. Now all of a sudden, so people question this stuff. I think there are simple solutions, simple answers to a lot of these things, but I do think we could not debunk that truly. And honestly, we can cast doubt onto these theories. But I think it's interesting. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this? The potential federal agent. I should ask you, Bryan, as you are former Fed, maybe current.
Did you just say current Fed?
Fed.
Yeah, got it. All right. Yeah, look, there are bad apples in every bunch, aren't there? And whether this guy was knowledgeable and actually ignored his own training, which is these folks, especially Bureau guys, they know absolutely the signs, the flags, and when and where to report those. So he should have a very special, sensitive tripwire is the point. And the fact that he didn't do what he should have is really odd and frankly disconcerting because it doesn't make sense.
Interesting. Some people were, so I can't confirm a lot of what people are posting in these stories, but some people are saying that apparently these guys might have been in Uvalde and in Buffalo in the same discords, or that the people egging them on may have been in the same discords.
I don't know. If you go back all the way to Columbine and you look at the investigation into that, even Dylan Klebold, I think his name was. I forget.
Klebold.
Klebold,
yeah.
Thank you. But even his family said, he spent a lot of time in the garage. We always heard these loud noises. He was always blowing things up. This is kind of similar in the sense that there are a lot of warning signs, right? Like clearly he's telling people, just like the guy in Texas, told people. He told that girl who he tagged on social media in LA, like, I'm going to do this. If that isn't a sign that there is some clear mental problem, that there's this very blatant cry for help. There's almost the desire to attract attention before the fact.
And I think right now the conversation, as it should be, is, what else can we do? But I think what we're starting to see now is, well, actually, there really isn't a need necessarily for more laws or more sort of bureaucratic steps. It's just actually to execute what the things that we were supposed to do more thoughtfully, more consistently, whether it's at the schools, making sure doors are shut for Pete's sake. If you're a parent or you're a loved one or you're a neighbor and you start seeing this stuff, raise the flag, do the things that we all know that work, right? So I don't know in this case, as we learn more, that we really should have an additional layer of laws or whatnot. It's really just making sure that what we do and have on the books, just execute that more thoughtfully, more consistently.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that this issue of training, that's one that I think is really odd on this with this fellow, because he was so young. He just got this gun. It's not a light weapon to work with. So some degree of training, exposure. Where did he get that? That's one of the things that I have been looking at and looking for.
Yeah. So. When people are pointing out this gun with taxes and shipping and everything was $2,000, a lot of people said, how could a guy who works at Wendy's and is under 18 afford that? Because you'd have to, save up for how long? I suppose if he's living with his mom, he's not paying anything. But then apparently he got into a fight with his grandma or something over a phone bill. So maybe he really just saved up this money. And then it could be quite simple, a credit card. You turn 18, you get a credit card. If you've got no bad credit, you might get a couple grand on a credit card.
Yeah,
but then there's a time frame. So I'm not sure if this is correct. I don't know if you guys know. You guys can fact check me. But it was 2 days after his 18th birthday. So he ordered the gun online, and then maybe a week in advance it got shipped in. then he went there and picked it up, and then the next day maybe. I mean, it's all possible. I don't want to say it's not. I don't want to say it's impossible, but it is kind of like, did he really plan it out meticulously as he did? I suppose, right?
That sounds like he'd been planning it for a while. If he organized it so that the gun had arrived after he turned 18 and everything was right then, it sounded like he'd been planning it.
Well, let me add. So this issue of planning. So in the intelligence community, particularly with terror attacks, we know that there is a planning process, and along that process, you end up finding ways to intervene. They slip up, they make mistakes, there are little warning signs, and from an intel perspective, that's what you look for to stop those attacks. So I think, again, we're going to see the more the investigative work that gets done, there are those little pops and flags that we're going to see retroactively be like, we should have seen that, or somebody did see that and they didn't do something. And I think that's where we're going to start really making a difference. When these horrible events happen, we learn from them. That's how we stop the next one. It's going to change. The next attack's going to change, but that's how we learn.
Yeah, basically what you were just saying before, to add on to that. When I look at these incidents, I think one of the problems we have is that we think there's a solution. And maybe there is. I'm not saying we shouldn't try and figure something out. But I wonder if when, people are saying we need armed teachers, and I'm like, well, I think if people were armed in general, we'd probably be better off. But I don't know if that solves the problem of a deranged young person who plans this thing out. If this dude really did plan it out as extensively as he did, and seemingly he did because he ordered it in advance, waited until his 18th birthday, saved up money or got a credit card, who knows what he did, but he planned it, then I don't think, I'll put it this way. You mentioned something before the show. You said we got to be right 100 out of 100 times because at one time you aren't is when they get you. So we can plan. We can be like, okay, how about armed teachers? And then the kid just the next person makes a plan to accommodate for armed teachers. Mm-hmm. I think the issue is that we've got a cultural and a mental illness problem. I think that I know a lot of conservatives say mental illness problem, but you look at the medication these kids are on, and we have a fatherlessness problem. It's cultural and it's multifaceted.
Amen.
Everybody just wants this singular solution. They're like, we can either ban the guns or we can arm the teachers, and I'm like, that's not going to solve what's going on.
Well, I think, and when it comes to the government stepping in, this kid is cutting himself, right? He's made a lot of threats. Where's Child Protective Services? And all I'm going to say is I don't even have. It's not even a question. It's more just an observation. But Child Protective Services were showing up to people's parents' house where they refused to vaccinate their kids within hours, right? In the height of the pandemic of COVID, Child Protective Services was stepping in swiftly. So it's just kind of bizarre that the same government services that we are looking to protect children in the case that the parents are not doing their job seem to be kind of absent when this is a very clear case of a kid who is troubled, who is abusive, who is... if you're 17 and you're cutting yourself, you're cutting your face repeatedly... how much more of a red flag law do we need to say this kid is not? But boy, if he had said my parents won't get me vaccinated, holy crap, the Child Protective Services would have been there within minutes.
What if he says my parents won't let me get my Adderall prescription filled? Will Child Protective Services come and take him? Will they side with him because he needs his Adderall, or will they side with the parent because it's unconscionable to give a 14-year-old Adderall?
My parents won't let me choose my pronoun.
Yeah, my
holy
gender.
How would they have swept in and said the abuse you're creating to this child? So the reason why I'm bringing this up is not to dump on people who are failing at their job, but if you're turning to the government for a solution, I don't think you're going to have any solution that works.
Not in this case. It's like state of mind. The government is not good at solving state of mind. You need like a spiritual leader or something like that.
I think we are in a culture war for a reason. We have very serious cultural problems. Now, it's cool to see that the left and the right are unified in their disdain for the police over this one, but when you look at how the left has been approaching basically everything, I can say it feels to me the reason moderates and conservatives are kind of united. You've got post-liberal, libertarian, centrists, and conservatives all sort of in agreement because they're actually addressing facts and issues. The left isn't. When it comes to issues of these shootings, they say background checks. I said yesterday, okay, we have those. Oh, ban the AR-15. Okay, what about an AK? What about an M1A? What about any other gun? I mean, so many. They're just not saying anything, but they're getting really, really mad. So I look at the deep cultural issues, and I'm sorry if I'm not going to take a liberal's word for it because they believe Jussie Smollett. And now we have this tweet going viral from another fake account claiming that Governor Abbott sent a rep to this guy's house telling him that if, we'll pay you to stand with the governor And if you don't, we'll criminally charge you or something. It's the most ridiculous, made-up, fake story, probably by a 12-year-old. Joaquin Castro's tweeting, let me know if you need any help. Pulitzer-winning journalists are all tweeting it out like, I can't believe this is happening. Christopher Titus, the comedian, verified. He's like, Abbott is done. It's like, dude, boomers. I mean, I want to say boomer, but they're not boomers. They're like 35 years old.
And Twitter hasn't taken it down. Twitter hasn't flagged it as misinformation or false. It's
But forgive me if I say the people who believe Jesse Smollett, I'm not going to take political advice from. It's just never going to happen.
Yeah.
People, maybe a lack of critical thinking, because I think they're still getting facts that's just not right. They're wrong facts, whatever that means.
Well, then they're not facts.
Yeah, like that the AR
Data.
means assault rifle, for instance. And then they think ban AR, you're not going to have any more assault rifles.
So even if you look at this, I think from the most hopeful perspective, people need control. And when you have a moment like this, everything feels out of control. So you're going to gravitate to the thing that makes you feel best and most comfortable. And it's AR-15. Okay, that's the bad thing that we all need to focus our energy on. Doesn't matter the nuance or the facts. It's just enough people in the moment of hysteria say, that's the bad thing. There's the one silver bullet solution. Focus on it. And that's just not true. You're bringing up the very correct points. This is multifaceted. Maybe we have a medicine issue or the mental health concern. We have a lack of a father. We have a lack of support in the family. There are so many different pieces to each of these kinds of horrific shootings that to stop and really ask tough questions, not happening. We just want the one silver bullet solution.
Thanks for checking out this segment from the Timcast IRL podcast. But if you want to check out the full show live, tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. And if you want more special access content, head over to timcast.com and become a member. Your membership helps sustain this company, keep our journalists employed, makes this show happen, and you will get access to exclusive members-only segments of the Timcast IRL podcast, and there's a massive library to check out. So again, go to timcast.com or tune in Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., and we'll see you all there.